Hey there, fellow coin enthusiasts. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been going through your loose change, minding your business, and then, boom, there it is, a coin that you had no idea was worth a small fortune? Yeah, I know. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, get ready to have your mind blown because today we're talking about a 1982 penny. Yep, that's right, a penny, but not just any penny. We're talking about the legendary, the mysterious, the crazy valuable 1982 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, which, hold on to your hats, could be worth up to $2 million. Now, I know you're probably thinking, that's some kind of wild coin collector fantasy. But trust me, this is real. And by the end of this video, you might just find yourself checking your penny jar to see if you've got one of these hidden gems. So, if you're ready for a crash course in coin collecting and a dash of humor, stick around. Because today we're diving into the world of rare pennies and what makes this 1982 no-mint mark penny worth so much money. Grab your coffee, kick back, and let's get started. Alright, so what makes this 1982 penny so special? And more importantly, how in the world does a small copper coin end up with a price tag like $2 million? Well, let's start with the basics. Back in 1982, the US Mint was having a bit of a whoops moment. They were transitioning from using 95% copper in pennies to a zinc core with just a thin layer of copper on top. So, they made both copper and zinc versions of the penny that year. And while most of the 1982 pennies had a mint mark, that little D for Denver or S for San Francisco, a few coins slipped through the cracks without any mint mark at all. Now, imagine you're a coin collector back in the 80s. You're flipping through pennies and, oh look, there's one from 1982 with no mint mark. You might think, that's weird, and toss it aside, thinking it's just another oddball penny. But little did you know that no mint mark penny could have been one of the rare ones that survived the minting process without a mark, making it worth a small fortune today. A couple of years ago, a guy went through his coin jar, like we all do, and pulled out a handful of pennies. Nothing out of the ordinary. But then, bam, he spotted a 1982 penny with no mint mark. Now, I don't know about you, but when I find a penny, I don't immediately think, this could be my ticket to millions. But this guy did. After some research and a lot of excitement, probably some jumping around too, he sold that penny for, wait for it, $2 million. That's right, a coin that most people would toss into their change jar is now worth more than the average house. So, what happened here? Well, those no mint mark pennies are incredibly rare. So rare that they're practically a treasure. You might be wondering, why is this penny so valuable? Well, it's all about rarity and demand. When the minting error happened, only a small number of these pennies escaped the mint without a mint mark, which makes them super rare. Add to that the fact that coin collectors and investors are always on the lookout for rare items, and suddenly, a coin worth 1 cent could be worth millions. The world of coin collecting is wild, my friends. Now, let me tell you a little story from my own life. A while ago, I went to a local coin show. I'm not a huge collector, but I love learning about coins and seeing what I might have missed. There were vendors everywhere, booths filled with coins from all over the world, and the atmosphere was electric with excitement. One guy, let's call him Bob, had a table stacked with pennies. Old pennies, new pennies. Some looked shiny. Some were worn down like they had been through 100 laundromats. I was casually flipping through them, thinking, nothing special here, when I noticed something strange, a 1982 penny that looked a little off. I wasn't quite sure what was wrong, but I just had a feeling. I asked Bob, hey, what's the deal with this 1982 penny? He gave me a little smirk and said, that's a no mint mark. A good one if you're into rare coins. At that point, I was kind of thinking, well, I'll just buy it for a few bucks and see what happens. Fast forward to the present day, and I've got that penny sitting in my collection, worth way more than I paid for it, thanks to the wonders of the coin world. So, moral of the story? Never underestimate the power of a penny, because you never know when it could turn into something worth way more than you ever imagined. So, now that you know all about the legendary 1982 no mint mark penny, I hope you'll take a second to look through your spare change. You never know what might be hiding in there. Remember, the value of a coin isn't always about how it looks. It's about its rarity, its history, and its place in the world of collectors. That one penny you've got stashed away could be the next big find. Before you head out to go check your penny jar or your grandma's old coin collection, do me a favor. If you've enjoyed this video and you want to learn more about rare coins, tips for finding valuable treasures, and strategies for starting your own coin collection, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on all the awesome tips we've got coming up. And hey, maybe we'll even find the next $2 million penny together. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your coin hunts. Who knows, maybe you're sitting on a gold mine or, well, a copper mine right now. Have you ever stared at your pocket change and thought, what if this tiny copper coin is actually worth a fortune? Well, hold on to your seats, because today, I'm about to blow your mind with a story about a penny. A 1976 Abraham Lincoln penny, to be exact, that is currently worth a jaw-dropping $2.1 million. Yeah, you heard that right. $2.1 million. And it's not some rare gold coin or something crazy like that. It's a regular penny, well, a regular penny, with a twist. So if you're sitting there thinking, I've got a jar of pennies somewhere, you better grab it and start searching. This might just be your ticket to a mansion by the beach, or, at the very least, a new shiny coin collection. All right, let's dive into this crazy coin mystery, and who knows, by the end of this video, you might be rummaging through your couch cushions thinking you've got a hidden treasure. First things first, let's talk about this penny. The 1976 Abraham Lincoln penny. Most of us have seen these pennies. You know, the ones with Honest Abe's face staring at you with that classic, I'm thinking about freeing slaves look. But here's the thing. Most of them are worth exactly 1 cent. It's not like you're going to get rich off your usual stash of these. But in 1976, there was a crazy little printing mistake that led to a very, very rare coin. A coin that didn't have a mint mark. Normally, on the back of a coin, right under the date, you'll see a little letter. It's a mint mark, indicating where the coin was made. D means Denver. S means San Francisco. But there's one little problem here. In 1976, the U.S. Mint accidentally released some pennies without any mint mark at all. Now, this little error is huge in the coin world. You see, most collectors go wild for mistakes like this. It's like the oopsie of all oopsies. This specific penny is crazy rare, and it's the one that's selling for millions. Yes, plural. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you are like me, and you have that drawer full of old coins, right? I used to just toss pennies in there, thinking they weren't worth anything. Well, guess who feels silly now? But hey, we live and we learn. I've learned the hard way that one person's junk is another person's treasure. Okay, so you're probably wondering, how did this penny end up being worth so much? Well, here's the scoop. It all starts with the rarity factor. Only a handful of these no-mint mark 1976 pennies were made, and it wasn't until years later that collectors really started noticing them. In fact, it wasn't until a penny like this sold for a massive amount, like crazy amount, that the world went, wait, that's a thing? In 2018, one of these bad boys was sold for $2.1 million. Yeah, you could buy a nice house with that kind of cash. Or, if you're feeling extra fancy, you could buy a mansion with a pool shaped like a coin. You know, priorities. Host laughs and then gets serious for a second. But here's where it gets wild. If you're thinking about running to the nearest pawn shop with your pennies, hold your horses. Not every 1976 penny is going to make you a millionaire. The condition has to be near perfect, which, let's be real, is tough to find in your spare change drawer. But there is still hope. If you happen to have one of these mint-less pennies that's in great condition, you could be sitting on something worth thousands, not just pennies. So how do you even know if you've got one of these magical pennies hiding in your collection? Well, it's all about the details. First, you need to make sure the penny is from 1976. That's step one. Then, check the back. Look right under the date for a mint mark. If there's nothing there, boom, you've got yourself a rare coin. All right, I'll be honest. You're probably going to need some serious magnification to spot this thing. If your penny looks like it came out of a washing machine, hey, I'm not judging, we've all been there. It's not going to be worth millions. But if it's in really great condition, you might just have something. So, there you have it, folks. The story of the 1976 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny that went from being a regular, humble penny to a multi-million-dollar gem. It's a perfect reminder that treasures can hide in the most unexpected places, whether it's in your couch cushions, your junk drawer, or your old change jar. Host leans forward, a bit conspiratorially. Now, I know what you're thinking. I've got to check my pennies right now. And hey, I can't blame you. I'd be diving into my stash too if I were you. But hey, if you want more tips on how to find coins worth money, or maybe even the next big discovery that'll change your life, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Who knows? The next coin we talk about could be worth even more. And if you've got any cool coin stories or want to share if you found something valuable, drop it in the comments below. I love hearing about your finds. Alright, imagine this. You're at the grocery store, reaching into your pocket, and you pull out a random penny. You chuck it into your pocket and forget about it. But what if I told you that little penny could be worth $2.20 million? I mean, it's just a coin, right? Well, turns out that little penny for your thoughts might be worth more than all your thoughts combined. So stick around, because today we're diving into the mind-blowing world of the 2006 mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Yep, you heard me right. It's that penny you might have tossed in your coin jar. Let's go. First off, let's start with some basic coin knowledge, just so we're all on the same page. The 2006 mint mark penny is just like any other penny. Small, copperish in color, with Abraham Lincoln on the front. What sets it apart, though, is the mint mark. You see, every penny that's made in the US has a mint mark that tells you where it was made, like a little signature that says, "I'm from here." The D mint mark means this penny was minted in Denver, Colorado. Now, you might be thinking, great, cool, but what's so special about this one? Well, buckle up, my friend, because this is where things get interesting. In 2006, the US Mint produced billions of pennies. So how did this one penny, with a simple D mint mark, catch the attention of collectors and numismatists everywhere? The answer: an error. Yep, there was a minting error, and that error is what might just be sitting in your jar right now. The 2006 D penny is rare due to a small number of them being made with an incorrect design. Basically, a very small batch of these pennies was struck with a double die, which means the image of Lincoln on the front of the coin was doubled up. It's like Lincoln decided to show up to work twice that day. It's a double strike, and that little quirk can drive collectors insane. In the best way possible. The more errors a coin has, the more valuable it becomes. It's like a lucky lottery ticket that you didn't even know you had. Now, how rare is this? Well, these error coins are only found in a tiny fraction of the 2006 D pennies out there, and they can be identified by closely examining the details. If you can spot the doubled image of Lincoln, or even the date on the back, you've got yourself something special. But don't just trust your eyes. Always get it checked out by a professional, because, hey, that $2.2 million payday isn't something you want to miss. Here's the kicker, though. This isn't just a piece of US history. This penny has skyrocketed in value over the years. While most pennies are worth, well, a penny, this rare 2006 D penny can sell for upwards of $2.2 million. Yes, million with an M. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, I have a jar of pennies at home. I'm gonna be rich. Well, before you get too excited and start tossing all your change into the air, let's pump the brakes. Not every 2006 D penny is worth that kind of cash. You need the error, and it needs to be in pristine condition. We're talking about a coin that's been kept safe, away from your cereal bowl, and untouched by the world of pocket lint. And here's a fun little story from my own life. A few years ago, I found a 2006 D penny in my spare change. I thought, hey, this might be something cool. So I held on to it. I didn't think it was worth anything, because, let's be honest, how many of us really look at pennies? But then, after diving into the world of coin collecting, I started learning about rare coins like the double die 2006 D penny. Sadly, my penny was just a regular one. No error. But let me tell you, for a brief moment, I imagined myself swimming in a pool of $2.2 million dollars. Oh, the dreams I had. But I guess I'll just have to stick to my usual hobby of collecting Uh, Random things that aren't worth much, like socks that lose their pairs. Anyone else do that? Alright, so here's the bottom line. If you've got a 2006 penny, it might just be worth a closer look, especially if you think it could be a double die error. But remember, not all of them are going to make you a millionaire. So don't go selling everything else you own just to fund your coin hunting adventure. It's all about patience, knowledge, and a bit of luck. Maybe that lucky penny is just sitting in your jar waiting to be discovered. If you enjoyed learning about this rare and crazy valuable penny, do me a favor, smash that subscribe button. I'll be back with more coin tips, tricks, and strategies for finding coins that could change your financial future. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. And hey, if you happen to find one of these pennies, let me know. I might just ask for a small commission, or maybe a nice lunch. I mean, who's counting when you've got $2.2 million, right? Alright, folks, imagine this. You're sitting at home, going through your spare change, and you find a penny. Just a regular, run-of-the-mill penny, right? Well, not so fast. What if I told you that penny, yes, that one in your hand right now, could be worth millions? No, it's not a joke. Stick with me for the next few minutes, because we're about to dive into the 2017 Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny that's worth a jaw-dropping $2.3 million. But before you start running to your coin jar, let's figure out if you've got one of these hidden treasures in your pocket. So, here's the deal. The 2017 Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny is one of those rare finds that could make you a millionaire, if you know what to look for. And I know, pennies seem like the least valuable thing in the world. In fact, the penny is kinda like that friend who never shows up on time but somehow always gets invited to the party anyway, right? But here's the kicker. While most of us throw pennies into jars, toss them into parking meters, or just lose them down the couch cushions, some pennies, like this 2017 Mint Mark version, are more than just pocket change. They're valuable collector's items. And when I say valuable, I mean $2.3 million. Yeah, you heard that right. Now, you might be thinking, wait, a penny? Really? And you wouldn't be alone. I had the same reaction when I first heard about this. But let me break it down for you. These coins are special because of something super subtle, an error in the minting process. It's a small detail that makes all the difference. If you find a 2017 penny with a double die obverse, which means the design on the front is a bit off or doubled, you could be sitting on a fortune. A double die error happens when the die used to stamp the design onto the penny has an issue. Basically, the coin gets struck twice, and that's when you get a slight shift in the design. It can make Lincoln's face look a little blurry or have extra details around the words. That's what gives it the value. So, if you happen to spot one of these double die 2017 pennies, you could be holding a little gold mine. But I know what you're thinking. Okay, this sounds pretty awesome, but how do I even check for this? Well, lucky for you, it's actually pretty easy. All you need is good lighting, a magnifying glass, and a little patience. Look closely at the date, the Liberty text, and especially the motto "In God We Trust." If you see any strange doubling or extra details, that's your cue. You've just found something worth taking to a coin expert. And when you do, now, I've got to tell you, this is the kind of thing that sounds too good to be true. And honestly, when I first heard about this, I laughed it off. I mean, come on, who finds something like this? But then, I remembered something. Last year, I was digging through an old tin can of coins I had stashed away from my childhood, and guess what? I found a 1982 penny that turned out to be worth a little more than I expected. It wasn't $2.3 million, but it was a cool $20, which, okay, that's not life-changing. But it was a reminder that you just never know when something small can turn into something big. I know, $20 is a far cry from $2.3 million, but it still made me feel like a coin hunter, and that's what I love about this hobby. It's about finding that hidden gem, the one thing that could be worth way more than you ever thought. And here's the thing. This kind of stuff is happening all the time. People are finding rare coins in their pocket change, at garage sales, or in the backs of their drawers. And sometimes it's not just about money. It's about the thrill of the hunt, kind of like treasure hunting, but without the pirates. So, before you go spending all your pennies on coffee, take a second and look at them. You just might have a small fortune sitting in your pocket. And if you think your 2017 D penny might be worth something, get it checked out. But hey, don't just stop there. There are so many more coins out there that could be worth a lot more than you think. If you enjoyed this little nugget of information and want more tips on coins worth money, strategies on how to spot them, and all that good stuff, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't want to miss what I have for you next time. And hey, who knows? The next time you check your pocket change, you might just find the next big thing. Have you ever dug through your old change jar and wondered if you might be sitting on a small fortune? Well, today's your lucky day because we're diving into a little penny with a big secret. And no, it's not the one you found between your couch cushions. We're talking about the 1969 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny that could be worth, get this, up to $2.4 million. Yep, you heard that right, $2.4 million. But don't rush off to search through your change just yet, because finding one of these rare coins isn't as easy as picking up pennies off the ground. Stick with me, and I'll give you all the details you need, along with some pro tips on how to spot these hidden treasures. All right, let's break this down. First, the basics. The 1969 penny was issued as part of the regular series of Lincoln Memorial pennies, which were minted from 1959 until 2008. But there's a catch with the 1969 penny, and it's a rare one. Not all of them are worth a ton of money, but if you find one with a particular error, you could be looking at a potential windfall. The penny we're talking about here has the D Mint mark, meaning it was produced in Denver. But here's where things get interesting. There's a specific error that makes this penny so valuable, a die clash error that resulted in a double die on the coin's obverse, the side with Lincoln's face. This means that the engraving of Lincoln's portrait, along with the date and the words "In God We Trust," appears to be duplicated. And when I say duplicated, I don't mean just a little off. I'm talking about a noticeable doubling that you can see with the naked EYE.SO. How did this penny go from being worth 1 cent to over $2 million? Well, back in 1969, some of these errors made it out of the Denver Mint, and only a few of them survived in decent condition. They're rare, they're special, and as with most rare things in the world, people want them. And I mean, really want them. Enough to pay over $2 million for the right one. But how do you even know if your 1969 penny is the lucky one? You'll want to inspect the coin closely. Look at Abraham Lincoln's eyes and the date. If you spot any weird doubling, especially in these areas, there's a chance that you've got a high-value coin. But it's not enough just to find one. The condition of the coin matters too. The closer it is to mint condition, the more money it could potentially fetch. A worn-out coin isn't going to fetch nearly as much as one that's practically uncirculated. Now, let me tell you a quick story. A couple of years ago, I was visiting a coin show with a friend of mine, and while I was busy ogling some old silver dollars, he pulled out a box of pennies from his childhood piggy bank. He's telling me how he's been collecting pennies for decades, thinking he might have a few interesting ones when he casually mentions, "I've got a 1969 penny, but it's probably nothing special." Now, I'm thinking, hold up, buddy. Let me see that. Sure enough, after some careful inspection, I found out that it had a slight doubling near the date. It wasn't a full-blown error coin, but it was interesting enough for me to pull out my phone and check what similar coins were going for. We didn't strike gold, but it did remind me how easy it is to overlook the potential in your change. So, keep your eyes peeled. Folks, before we wrap up, let me give you a few key tips. First, check your 1969 pennies, especially the ones with that D Mint mark. Look for doubling on Lincoln's portrait, the date, and the motto. Second, keep the coin's condition in mind. If it's in mint condition, that could mean big bucks. And third, if you do find one of these rare coins, make sure you get it appraised by a professional before you start daydreaming about your future. So, here's the deal. If you've learned something today, or if you're just now ready to go through your change like a coin hunting expert, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join the family. We're here to give you all the inside tips on coins, valuable finds, and the best strategies to grow your collection or your fortune. You never know when that next $2.4 million penny might be hiding in plain sight. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next video where we'll talk about even more coins that are worth way more than you might think. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, penny? Worth $2.5 million? That's gotta be a joke. Hold on, because you're in for a real surprise. Stick around, because today we're diving into a coin that has shocked collectors, turned heads, and could even make you a fortune. If you happen to have one in your pocket right now, yep, we're talking about the 1998 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. No joke, this little piece of change could have a value that'll make your jaw drop. So, grab your magnifying glass and let's see if you're holding on to something that's worth more than just loose change. All right, let's start with the basics. You've probably got a jar or a drawer full of pennies that you've just tossed in there over the years, right? I know I do. I'm talking about those pennies that fall out of your pockets, the ones you find stuck to the bottom of your purse, or the ones you collect because you can't bring yourself to throw them away. Most of those pennies aren't worth much more than a penny, right? But then, you come across one that has no mint mark. Wait, what? No mint mark? If you're wondering what the heck a mint mark is, don't worry, you're not alone. Mint marks are those little letters stamped onto coins that tell you where they were made. So, a D on a penny means it came from the Denver Mint. An S means it's from San Francisco, and if you see nothing at all, that's what makes this 1998 penny so special. The 1998 penny is supposed to have a mint mark, but some of them slipped through the cracks without one. And it turns out, those without the mint mark, they're super rare. We're talking rarer than that last slice of pizza that nobody wanted. Until someone remembers it's the last slice, and now everyone's fighting over it now, you might be asking, what's the big deal? It's just a penny, right? Well, let me tell you, this little coin has been selling for crazy amounts at auctions, some even fetching around $2.5 million. No, that's not a typo. A single penny could be worth the price of a mansion, a luxury car, or, hey, maybe a vacation to the moon if that's your thing. Let me hit you with a story here to put this all into perspective. A few years ago, I was rummaging through some old change I had in a box, thinking, yeah, these pennies will never be worth anything, but I guess I'll hang on to them for nostalgia's sake. So there I am, sorting through them like a coin hoarder, and out of nowhere, I find a 1998 penny with no mint mark. Now, I didn't know it at the time, but looking at it, I thought, this doesn't look like the others. It didn't have the D or the S, and I set it aside, totally clueless about how rare it was. Fast forward to a couple of months ago when I'm doing research for this video, and guess what? I find out that penny I thought was just another coin is worth potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah, that's right. My clueless self could have been swimming in a cash pool, but instead, I just threw it back into my drawer. Always check your change. You never know when you might stumble across a hidden treasure in your pocket. So, how do you know if you have one of these elusive no mint mark pennies? Well, look closely at the date and the absence of the mint mark. These coins were minted in Philadelphia, but for some reason, a small number of them came out without the mint mark. If you've got one of these gems, it's important to take care of it. You want to store it in a safe place, maybe a coin holder or a display case. And if you're lucky enough to find one, the next step is getting it professionally graded by a coin expert to determine its true value. A penny in mint condition could be worth a lot more than its face value, especially if it's a rare error like this one. So, let's recap. The 1998 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny is rare, it's valuable, and it could be hiding in your coin jar right now. Who would have thought a penny, that tiny little piece of change, could be worth more than your car or even your house? It just goes to show that you should never underestimate the power of small things. If you've got any coins lying around, it might be time to dig them out and take a closer look. Before you head out, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more tips and tricks for you on coins that could be worth a lot more than you think. Who knows? Maybe your next treasure hunt could be worth millions. Have you ever found a penny in your couch cushions, laughed it off, and tossed it aside, thinking it wasn't worth much? Well, buckle up, because I'm about to drop a bombshell. What if I told you that a penny, yes, a penny, could be worth over $2.6 million? That's right, folks, $2.6 million. So, you might want to check your change jar before you throw those pennies away. Stick with me, because today, we're talking about the 1981 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny and why this little coin is currently making waves in the numismatic world. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more crazy coin stories or tips on how you can turn your pocket change into a small fortune. All right, let's jump into this. Now, let's get into the good stuff. The 1981 no mint mark penny. Sounds like something out of a detective novel, right? The mystery of the missing mint mark. But no, this is not some fictional tale. This is the real deal. If you're not familiar, every US coin has a mint mark. The mint mark tells you which US mint facility made that particular coin. There are three main ones: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D; and San Francisco, S. However, what makes this 1981 penny so special is that some of the 1981 pennies were made without the mint mark. And no, it wasn't a design flaw or a mistake that was meant to go unnoticed. It was just a weird blip in history. A very, very rare blip, might I add. The 1981 penny was minted in Philadelphia, but the mint forgot to add the P mint mark on some of those pennies. Now, you'd think it would be an obvious error, right? Like, oops, no mint mark, let's scrap it. But nope. Some of these pennies made it into circulation and are now worth an absolute fortune. This penny doesn't just hold sentimental value. It's the kind of coin that makes serious collectors salivate. Why? Because it's rare, really rare. And I mean rare like that time you found a sock that actually matched the other sock after doing laundry. You know, a rare moment in time where everything aligns. These pennies are so rare, in fact, that one of them just sold for a mind-boggling $2.6 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. A penny worth $2,600,000. You could buy a yacht, a fancy car, or even a house with that kind of money. Now, I know you're probably thinking, okay, how do I know if I've got one of these rare gems? Well, don't go ripping through every single penny in your change jar just yet. There are a few things you need to look out for. The main thing is that the penny should have no mint mark. If you see a P or a D or S anywhere on the coin, it's not the one you're looking for. You also want to check for the condition. The coin has to be in excellent shape. No major scratches, rust, or wear. Think of it like finding a perfectly kept baseball card. It's all about condition, rarity, and a little bit of luck. Now, I've got to tell you a little story about a time when I thought I'd found a mint condition penny. It was years ago, and I had just gotten into collecting. I was browsing through my change jar and found this super shiny 1981 penny. I thought, this is it. This is my ticket to the big leagues. I rushed to my local coin shop, practically skipping with excitement, only to find out that, well, it wasn't a no mint mark penny. Classic. It had the D mint mark from Denver, and while it was a nice penny, it wasn't exactly going to make me a millionaire. But hey, it was a good lesson. Don't let the shiny ones fool you. So, if you do find that elusive 1981 no mint mark penny, it could very well be worth millions, depending on its condition. But let me be real with you for a second. Finding one is like finding a needle in a haystack. If you're lucky enough to own one, congratulations. But if you're still scouring through your pennies, keep your hopes high and your magnifying glass ready. And there you have it. The 1981 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. A coin that proves that even the smallest, most unassuming things can hold extraordinary value. So, before you go tossing out your spare change, take a second to double-check. Who knows? You might just have a $1 million penny sitting in your couch cushions, waiting for its big moment. How can I keep finding more coins like this? Easy. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll keep bringing you more tips and tricks on spotting rare coins that might just be worth something. From pennies to nickels, dimes, and beyond, you'll be on your way to becoming a coin expert in no time. And hey, if you found this video helpful or just loved hearing about this wild story, give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends. Maybe they'll find a hidden treasure, too. Have you ever stumbled across a penny in your pocket and thought, hey, is this thing worth more than just a few cents? Well, let me tell you, there's a certain penny out there, one with a D mint mark, that's been sending collectors into a frenzy, and it's worth an insane amount of cash today. We're talking about a penny that could easily turn into $2.7 million. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, grab your magnifying glass and hang tight, because we're diving deep into the legendary 1976 D mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, and trust me, you won't want to miss this. Cut to a close-up of the 1976 D penny under a spotlight. The camera zooms in as you explain. All right, let's rewind the clock for a second. The year is 1976. The country is celebrating its bicentennial. Everyone's rocking bell-bottoms, and disco music is on full blast. Now, the U.S. Mint, always busy making coins, churned out millions of pennies that year. But little did they know, one of those very pennies would cause a massive stir decades later. Most of the 1976 pennies are, well, just pennies. They don't have much value other than their face value, 1 cent. But if you've got one that has a D mint mark, and it was struck incorrectly, well, my friend, you might just be holding onto a gold mine, potentially worth millions. Show a graphic of a normal 1976 penny versus the rare minting error penny. Now, here's where things get interesting. This isn't your run-of-the-mill mistake. In fact, the 1976 D penny that's worth big bucks was struck with a double die obverse, meaning the image on the front of the coin, Abraham Lincoln's face, was actually stamped twice. And this doubling happened in such a way that it's unmistakable. Zoom in on a high-quality photo of the penny showing the error. Check out the doubling here. You can see the extra, blurred detail around Lincoln's face and even the lettering. This type of minting error is super rare, and when collectors find one, they lose their minds. Because that little mistake can boost its value to as much as $2.7 million. Now, before you go rating your couch cushions or checking every 1976 penny you've got, let's be clear. Finding one of these pennies isn't as easy as finding loose change in your car. But it's not impossible either. I mean, imagine casually browsing through your old coin jar and coming across this little treasure. Could you imagine? Pause for a humorous personal anecdote. Okay, here's a funny story from my own life. A few years ago, I was at a family reunion. Yep, a classic, awkward gathering. Everyone's sitting around, and I'm chatting with my uncle, who's one of those old-school coin collectors. He hands me a jar of coins, saying, "Hey, check these out." And honestly, I'm thinking, oh boy, here we go again. Another jar of old pennies. You pretend to humorously sift through the jar, exaggeratedly looking bored. Then, bam, I spot something that catches my eye. A 1976 D penny with a little extra detail on Lincoln's face. My heart skips a beat. Was this the one? Of course, it wasn't. But I'll tell you, for a second, I thought I had just struck gold. And I'll never forget that look on my uncle's face when I got all excited and started Googling like a maniac. So yeah, don't get your hopes up too high just yet, but you never know. You stand confidently in front of the desk again, holding up a normal penny. So what does this all mean for you? Well, if you're lucky enough to find a 1976 D penny with the double die error, you might just be sitting on a seriously valuable coin. And I'm not talking about a few bucks here. I'm talking millions. But remember, this is rare, and spotting the difference takes a keen eye, some patience, and maybe a little bit of luck. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm certainly going to be checking my old coins more carefully after hearing about this. And hey, if you're into hunting for valuable coins, stick around. There's always something new to discover in the world of coin collecting, and I'm here to help you along the way. So, if you want to keep learning more tips and tricks about coins that could make you rich, or just make you a little more coin smart, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on what's coming next. And hey, who knows? Maybe the next rare coin we discover together will be worth millions. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you in the next one. Keep those pennies. You never know when one might just be worth a fortune. Have you ever found a coin that made you do a double take, wondering if it's worth more than just its face value? Well, grab your magnifying glasses and sit tight, because today we're diving into one of the most surprising finds in coin collecting history, the 2008 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. And guess what? It's currently worth a whopping $2.8 million. Yes, you heard that right, million. But how in the world does a simple penny turn into such a fortune? Stick with me, and we'll get to the bottom of it. And let me tell you, if you're not checking your pennies after this, well, you might just be missing out on the next big payday. So, let's take a closer look at this legendary coin. Alright, let's break this down. I know what you're thinking. A penny, really? Yep, a penny. But not just any penny. This particular 2008 D Lincoln penny was minted in Denver, and it's become a rare gem that could make you a millionaire. It all started with a slight minting error, But before we get into the nitty-gritty of that, let's talk about the penny itself. The 2008 penny was part of the series celebrating the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The coin features the iconic portrait of Honest Abe on the obverse and a beautiful depiction of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Pretty standard, right? But here's where things get interesting. There was a mistake at the Denver Mint in 2008, and a small number of these pennies were struck without the usual design on the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial. Instead, a handful of these coins had a completely blank reverse. That's right, nothing. Just empty space. Kind of like the feeling you get when you realize you've been talking to a friend for 20 minutes and they've been texting the whole time. Cringe. Now, this error coin wasn't spotted by just anyone. People who are seriously into coin collecting, the real eagle-eyed professionals, began to notice the anomaly. And guess what happened next? As the word spread, the value of these error coins skyrocketed. And it wasn't just any ordinary increase. No, we're talking about a $2.8 million increase. A single penny could be worth a fortune. Talk about an upgrade from pocket change. I know what you're thinking. But how can I tell if I've got one of these million-dollar coins? Well, it's all about checking the reverse side. Look for that infamous blank space. If the reverse is missing the Lincoln Memorial, then you've found yourself a potential gold mine. Now, if you've been collecting coins for a while, you might have already seen something strange about a coin here and there. I remember the first time I got a really cool coin. I was about 10 years old and I found an old quarter in my dad's change jar. I thought it was a rare, valuable find and kept it tucked away for years. Turns out it was just an ordinary quarter. But hey, I still like to think of it as my first collector's item, even if it's not worth much. It's funny how that little mistake sparked my lifelong love for coins. But the 2008 D. Lincoln penny? Now, that's the real deal. These things are so rare that if you do have one, you might want to get it professionally authenticated. There are coin experts out there who specialize in error coins and can help you determine whether you've stumbled upon a multi-million-dollar treasure or just another oops kind of so. If you've got a 2008 D penny lying around, I suggest you go grab it and take a closer look. You never know. What seems like pocket change today could turn into a serious windfall tomorrow. But remember, the real treasure here is knowing how to spot those rare finds. And trust me, this is just one example of many coins that could be worth way more than you ever imagined. Now, if you want to keep finding out about more coins worth big money, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm here to share tips, tricks, and all sorts of strategies to help you become a coin connoisseur, without the need for a magnifying glass. But hey, they do come in handy. Drop a comment below if you've found any interesting coins, or if you've ever made a huge discovery that made you do a double take. Thanks for tuning in, and keep hunting those rare treasures. You're digging through a jar of loose change, maybe sorting through pennies, and you come across a 1973 penny. You think, just another one of those pennies that's worth 1 cent? But what if I told you that this exact penny could be worth $2.9 million? Yeah, you heard that right. Stick around, because I'm going to tell you how to spot the rare 1973 no mint mark penny and potentially make a small fortune from what you thought was just pocket change. Alright, let's dive into it. The 1973 penny, this tiny copper coin, has become somewhat of a legend in the coin world. What makes it so special? Well, it has no mint mark, which is actually really rare. Normally, you'd find a mint mark, a little D for Denver or an S for San Francisco, on a penny. But this specific one from 1973? It's missing it. That's like finding a 4-leaf clover in a field of 3-leaf clovers. It's rare, and it's valuable. Now, I know what you're thinking. A penny from 1973? How could that be worth anything other than, well, a penny? You're not alone. I was just like you when I first heard about this. A couple of years ago, I was cleaning out my mom's old coin collection. I thought, hey, maybe there's a hidden gem in here. But instead, I mostly found old pennies, some dusty quarters, and maybe an old nickel or two. Then, out of nowhere, I spotted one that didn't seem to have a mint mark. I looked at it again, and I thought, could this be the one? Could this be the 1973 penny they're talking about? It wasn't. But hey, at least I didn't lose any money on it. Just a little bit of my dignity. So, what makes this penny worth so much? Well, in 1973, there was an error in the minting process. Some pennies were struck without a mint mark, and only a few survived in great condition. A 1973 penny with no mint mark, in mint condition, can be worth around $2.9 million. That's right, nearly $3 million for a single penny. You could go from zero to millionaire just by finding this tiny little coin. How to identify the 1973 no mint mark penny now? Before you go raiding your coin jar, let's talk about how to identify this rare penny. First, take a look at the coin itself. You want to see if it has the familiar Abraham Lincoln design on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. But what you're looking for specifically is the absence of a mint mark under the year. If it's missing the D or S, bingo. You could be holding something pretty rare. It has to be in near-perfect condition. If it's worn down, scratched up, or tarnished, the value drops significantly. We're talking about the type of penny you'd find in your wallet after you've been carrying it around for decades. Not worth much, unfortunately. It wasn't always known how valuable these 1973 no mint mark pennies were. It took years before the coin community realized their rarity. Some of these coins sat unnoticed in coin jars, drawers, or in old collections, just waiting to be discovered. And then, when one of these rare pennies went to auction, that's when the world caught wind of their worth. Now, a few collectors and coin dealers are on the lookout for these babies. But remember, only the ones in mint condition will fetch top dollar. Don't get your hopes up just yet. Not every 1973 penny without a mint mark is going to turn into your retirement fund. Now, I'll admit, I don't own one of these $2.9 million pennies, but I've had my fair share of coin collecting adventures. There was one time I thought I hit the jackpot. I was at a garage sale, and the lady running the sale had a bunch of old coins she was selling for just a few bucks. I spotted a 1971 penny, not the 1973 one, but hey, it was old, so I figured, why not? I was sure it was a rare find. I later realized that the penny was nothing special. But guess what? That experience got me really into coin hunting. I've since found some great stuff, including a 1964 quarter that's worth more than I paid for it. So, even though I didn't find my million-dollar penny at that garage sale, it sparked a hobby that's still going strong, so there you have it. The 1973 no mint mark penny, a rare find that could make you millions, if you're lucky enough to have one. But even if you don't give up on coin collecting just yet. There are plenty of other coins out there worth much more than their face value, and you could be sitting on a treasure trove without even realizing it. If you enjoyed learning about this $2.9 million penny and want to learn more about rare coins that could make you a fortune, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got a ton more tips and strategies coming your way. You don't want to miss it. And hey, if you find a 1973 penny with no mint mark, don't forget to tell me. Maybe I'll be the one who gets to interview you when you cash it in for millions. Buckle up because today we're diving into something pretty wild. Imagine you're sitting on a penny, yes, a penny, worth $1 million. Sounds like something out of a treasure hunt movie, right? Well, that's the reality for a lot of people who found the 2016 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. If you've ever wondered if your change jar could be hiding a small fortune, you're going to want to stick around. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss this one. So let's talk about this legendary coin, the 2016 no mint mark Lincoln penny. Now, I know what you're thinking. A penny? Really? But hear me out. This is no ordinary penny. You've probably noticed the mint mark on most of your coins. It's that little D or S or P stamped somewhere on the coin, which tells you where it was made. But in 2016, some of these pennies rolled off the press without any mint mark at all. And that's a big deal in the world of coin collecting. It's not like every 2016 penny is worth a fortune. Oh no, that would be way too easy. You see, these no mint mark pennies are super rare, and rarity equals value. In fact, the value of these coins has skyrocketed, with some selling for over $1 million. Yep, you heard me right, $1 million. You can't even buy a decent used car for that, but you could be holding it in your hand if you're lucky enough to have one of these beauties. Crazy, right? Let's break this down. In 2016, the US Mint accidentally released a batch of pennies with no mint mark. Now, this isn't the first time this has happened in history, but it's pretty rare. And when something is rare, collectors go wild. They're like hungry sharks at feeding time. If you find one of these pennies, you could be looking at a massive payday. But how do you know if you've got one? It's simple. Just check the front of the penny. You'll see the famous image of Abraham Lincoln, but no mint mark next to the date. That's the golden ticket, folks. Now, before you go rushing to check your pocket change, let me give you a heads up. Most of these pennies are in circulated condition. They've been through the ringer, used in everyday transactions, and are not exactly in mint condition. But if you have one in pristine, uncirculated condition, you've got a real gem on your hands. The value skyrockets even higher. So, keep an eye out for any shiny, minty fresh pennies from 2016. Here's a little story for you. One day, I was going through my change jar. You know, that random pile of coins that seems to multiply on its own. I was about to toss a few pennies into my coin sorter when one of them caught my eye. It was a 2016 penny, no mint mark. At first, I thought, well, it's probably nothing special. It's just a penny. But something told me to do a quick search on my phone. And bam, I stumbled across articles talking about the 2016 no mint mark penny being worth a fortune. I almost fell off my chair. I ran around my house like a maniac, showing everyone, look, look, I might be rich. Turns out, mine wasn't in the best condition, so it wasn't worth $1,000,000. But I got the thrill of thinking I'd struck gold, and that's what makes this hobby so fun. So, I get it if you're a little skeptical, but if you've got the right penny, you could be looking at a windfall. So, here's the deal, folks. If you're lucky enough to have a 2016 no mint mark Lincoln penny, you might just be sitting on a small fortune. Even if it's not worth $1,000,000, it could still fetch you a pretty penny, pun intended. So go ahead, dig through those couch cushions, check the change jar, and give your wallet a good once-over. You never know what might be hiding in there. And hey, if you enjoyed this video and want more tips on coins worth money, strategies for collecting, and everything you need to know to turn your spare change into a treasure chest, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on what's coming next. Drop a comment below if you found any coins worth more than you thought. You know we all love a good coin story. Have you ever found a penny lying on the street and thought, meh, it's just a penny? Well, buckle up, because today, I'm about to drop some knowledge on you that will make you rethink every copper coin you pick up. The 1986 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny? Yeah, that one could be worth, wait for it, over $1,000,000. And trust me, it's not some wild story from the depths of the internet. This is real. So, grab your magnifying glass and your favorite beverage, because we're about to dive deep into the fascinating world of coins that are worth way more than their face value. But first, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more tips about rare coins that might just make you richer than you thought. Alright, let's get into it. Okay, let's start with the basics. Pennies. Those little copper discs that most of us toss into a jar, or worse, straight into our change jar like they're absolutely useless. But let me tell you, some of these pennies could be worth a fortune, and I'm not just talking about the ones from the 1800s. Let's zero in on a penny from 1986. Sounds like just another regular OL penny, right? Well, not exactly. This is a standard 1986 penny. Nothing special about it, right? Looks just like the one you might have in your pocket right now. But here's the kicker. Some 1986 pennies, just a few of them, don't have a mint mark. And that's the magic. Now, most pennies from 1986 have a mint mark on them. You know, that little letter D or S stamped right on the front. But if you find a 1986 penny with no mint mark, that's when things get interesting. The missing mint mark on these pennies is what makes them so valuable. You see, in 1986, pennies were being produced at the Denver and San Francisco mints, but for some reason, maybe a mistake, maybe a mysterious plot, the Philadelphia Mint somehow slipped through a few pennies without any mint mark. And that tiny mistake, I'm talking tiny, is what makes this coin worth an absolute fortune today. Now, I know what you're thinking, but it's just a penny. And I hear you, because I was that person too. I was the guy who would get excited about finding a quarter on the ground, but a penny? Pfft, toss it in the jar. But here's where the magic happens. That 1986 no mint mark penny could be worth up to $1.1 million. Yup, million, with an M. But wait, it gets even better. These rare pennies have been sold at auctions for crazy high prices. I'm talking big money. We're talking that vacation you've always dreamed of, or maybe even a brand new car, or several new cars. Okay, I'm getting carried away here, but you get the idea. One lucky collector managed to snag a no-mint mark penny for over $1 million, and the market is still hot for these coins. Now, I know what you're wondering. How do I know if I have one of these million-dollar pennies? Good question. First things first, don't just look at it like a regular penny. Grab a magnifying glass, because you need to check for that mint mark, or rather, the lack of one. If you don't see a D or S on the coin, and you see a clean, smooth area where it should be, bam, you've got yourself a 1986 no mint mark penny. Now, before you start running to the nearest coin dealer and shouting I'm rich, remember, it's not just about finding one. You've got to authenticate it, because there are some fake no-mint mark pennies out there that can throw you off. So, always get it checked out by a professional. Trust me, you don't want to end up with a counterfeit. Here's a fun little story from my own experience. A few years ago, I was going through my old coin collection, just casually looking at some pennies from the 80s, when, no joke, I stumbled upon a 1986 penny. I didn't think much of it at first. I mean, it wasn't shiny, it wasn't new. It looked like every other penny. But then I checked it under the magnifying glass. And you know what I saw? No mint mark. I nearly fainted. Long story short, I rushed to a local coin expert, got it authenticated, and sure enough, I had a rare penny on my hands. Now, I didn't get $1.1 million for it, but I did make a pretty nice profit. So, the moral of the story? You never know when that little penny could be worth big bucks, folks. Alright, coin enthusiasts, if this story got you excited to start hunting through your loose change, let me just say, you're not alone. The world of rare coins is full of hidden treasures, and this is just one example of how the smallest coins can end up being worth a ton of money. So, if you've got any old pennies lying around, now might be the time to give them a second look. You never know. Your next find could be a jackpot. Before I let you go, don't forget to subscribe for more coin tips and tricks. We'll be talking about other rare coins, how to spot fakes, and maybe even how to turn those pennies into piles of cash. And hey, if you find something good, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Who knows, maybe you'll be the next one to strike it rich with a lucky find. You're walking down the street, enjoying your day, and you see it, a penny. You pick it up, thinking it's just another small, unimportant coin, right? Well, hold on to that thought, because what if I told you that same penny could be worth $1.2 million? Yeah, you heard me right. We're talking about the legendary 1988 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you might just have a $1 million penny hiding in your couch cushions. If you're into coins, or just love finding hidden treasures, you're in the right place. I'm going to share everything you need to know about this crazy rare 1988 penny. And believe me, there's more to this coin than just a face value of 1 cent. So grab your magnifying glass, because we're diving deep into this shiny little piece of history. So, let's talk about the 1988 no mint mark penny. Sounds pretty standard, right? I mean, pennies come out of the US Mint every year, but there's something off about this one. Most coins will have a mint mark, typically located right under the date on the front of the coin, which tells you where it was made, either in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But the 1988 penny? It's got no mint mark, and that makes it pretty special. The absence of the mint mark on a 1988 penny is no small thing. In fact, it's a mistake. Typically, all pennies in that year were supposed to be minted in Philadelphia, but a small batch slipped through the cracks, a batch that, for some reason, didn't get their mint mark stamped on them. Coin collectors? They went wild for it. Fast forward to today, and those pennies are so rare that they can fetch up to a whopping $1.2 million at auction. Yeah, $1.2 million for a little copper coin that you could have easily overlooked. And I get it, a penny's a penny, right? But when you start adding the words rare and mint error, the value skyrockets. Suddenly, that copper disc is worth way more than its weight in metal. Now, I know what you're thinking. But how do I know if I have one of these rare gems? I'm not a coin expert. Well, don't worry. I've got your back. Here's what you need to check. First, take a good look at the date. Make sure it's 1988. Second, flip that coin over and check the back. You're looking for a lack of a mint mark. Simple, right? And lastly, you're going to want to examine the quality of the coin. These things can be worth a fortune if they're in mint condition, so condition matters. If it's been sitting in a jar for 30 years with a bunch of other pennies, well, good luck getting top dollar for it. I know, I know. This sounds too good to be true. Trust me, I've been there. The first time I heard about coins being worth big bucks, I thought it was a joke. I used to find pennies in my change and toss them in a jar like they were nothing. Then one day, I did a deep dive into the world of rare coins, and guess what I found? I had a few that were worth far more than their face value. I'm talking coins that were hiding right in front of me. I remember one time I found a 1943 copper penny in a box of old coins. I thought, oh, that's neat, and stuck it in my drawer. Then, a few weeks later, I read a story about how that same penny was worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. I nearly threw my back out running to check that drawer. Unfortunately, mine wasn't in mint condition, but it was a big wake-up call. Moral of the story? Don't just write off pennies as spare change. You never know when a mistake like this 1988 no mint mark penny is hiding in your collection. And the best part? You don't even have to be a seasoned coin expert to start spotting these opportunities. You just have to keep your eyes peeled and know what you're looking for. So, what do you think? You've probably got a ton of pennies lying around your house right now, and it's time to get serious about checking them out. Whether you've got a 1988 no mint mark penny or not, the world of rare coins is full of surprises waiting for you to discover. The key is doing a little homework and checking out your coins regularly. If you want to keep uncovering rare coins with hidden value, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. I've got plenty of tips, tricks, and strategies to help you build your own coin collection and maybe even stumble upon the next big jackpot. Who knows? Your next penny could be worth millions. You know, I've got a question for you. Have you ever held a penny in your hand and thought, is this little guy secretly worth a fortune? Well, today, we're talking about a penny that's worth more than your car, your rent, maybe even your mortgage. You're probably thinking, come on, a penny? Seriously? Yep, seriously. If you're holding a 2004 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark, you could be sitting on a small fortune worth up to, drumroll please, $1.3 million. Pause for effect, yes, you heard that right. $1,300,000. That's enough to buy a house, a yacht, or a lifetime supply of Taco Bell. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll be able to spot one of these rare pennies in your spare change. And hey, if you find one, don't forget who told you about it. Winks alright, let's dive in. Now, when you think about valuable coins, you're probably picturing rare gold or silver pieces, maybe even some classic dollar coins. But here's the thing. Sometimes, the most valuable coins are the ones you least expect. Take a look at the 2004 Abraham Lincoln penny. It's got a little secret that could make it a game changer. Normally, every penny produced in the US has a mint mark. It's a small letter on the coin that tells you which US mint facility made it. A D means Denver, an S means San Francisco, and P means Philadelphia. But what if there's an O mint mark at all? In 2004, a few pennies slipped through the cracks, and the result was something special. There was an error where some pennies were produced in Philadelphia, but they didn't have the expected P mint mark. So, they went into circulation just like any other penny. That's right, no mint mark at all. A penny without a mint mark. How is that worth anything? It's just a mistake, right? Well, here's the thing. Coin collectors love mistakes. It's like when you get a typo on a rare comic book, or a movie gets a famous plot twist. It's the kind of thing that drives people wild, so how much is this little penny actually worth? Well, thanks to its rarity, a 2004 penny with no mint mark could fetch anywhere from a few $100 all the way up to, wait for it, $1.3 million in perfect condition. Yeah, you didn't mishear that. That's enough cash to buy a small island. Or, like I said, an insane amount of Taco Bell. But before you go rummaging through your couch cushions and diving into every jar of loose change you can find, let's talk about the specifics. Finding one of these pennies in circulation is like winning the lottery. That's because this error only affected a small number of pennies. We're talking about only a handful that slipped through, and in mint condition, they're worth a fortune. So, how do you know if you found a winner? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Check the date. Look for the 2004 year on the front. Then, flip it over. If there's no mint mark, you've got a serious find on your hands. But don't start celebrating just yet. There are still a few things to consider. Just like with any collectible, the condition of the coin is key. A penny that's been through the washer, scratched, or dented isn't going to fetch anywhere near as much as one in pristine condition. Ideally, you want one that looks like it just came out of the mint, even though we all know that's not how pennies usually look after years of circulation. Now, I'm not going to lie. I've had my own experience with finding rare coins in my spare change. I remember one time, I was digging through my piggy bank. Yes, I still use a piggy bank, and I found a 1943 copper penny. Now, I didn't know at the time just how rare it was, but I held on to it for years because, well, it just looked cool. Turns out, that penny could have been worth hundreds of dollars. Long story short, I ended up spending it on a cup of coffee and a bagel. Yeah, I know, rookie mistake. Never overlook your coins. That 2004 Lincoln penny with no mint mark might be the most boring-looking coin in your jar, but trust me, it could be worth more than your entire collection combined. Okay, so to wrap things up, if you're lucky enough to find a 2004 penny without a mint mark, you've got yourself a potential gold mine. But remember, the coin's condition is everything. So, before you run off to check every penny you own, keep in mind that only a very small number of these no mint mark coins were ever made. But if you find one, don't just toss it back into your pocket. Do yourself a favor and get it appraised. Who knows? It could be your ticket to a serious payday. And hey, if you want more tips on valuable coins, how to spot rare finds, and strategies to build a collection that might just be worth a fortune, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll be here sharing all the secrets so you can go from coin amateur to coin expert in no time. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy treasure hunting. Catch you in the next video, where we might just uncover the next big coin worth a fortune. Who knows, it could be in your pocket right now. Winks and waves goodbye. Imagine going through your pocket change and finding a penny that's worth more than your entire collection. Yep, we're talking about the 1981 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, and it's currently valued at a jaw-dropping $1.40 million. Sounds too good to be true, right? But trust me, it's not. Grab your magnifying glass, because today we're diving into why this penny is worth more than a king's ransom and how you might just have one sitting in your jar of loose change right now. Stick around, this might just change how you look at pennies forever. So, let's start with the basics. Most of us are familiar with pennies. You know, those little copper coins that seem to turn up everywhere and get lost everywhere? But did you know that not all pennies are created equal? That's right. We're talking about the 1981 penny that's missing something big, the mint mark. Normally, every penny made in the US has a mint mark, a little letter that tells you where the coin was made. If you've got a penny from Philly, you'll see no mint mark. But if it's from Denver or San Francisco, you'll see either a D or an S. But what if I told you that some 1981 pennies, just a small handful, were made without any mint mark at all? Well, that's exactly what happened. And that missing mint mark is what makes these pennies so special. But why? We don't know exactly why it happened. Some experts think it was just a mistake during the minting process. You know, one of those whoops moments in history where the minting machine hiccuped and the mint mark was never stamped. Others think it could have been an intentional error, possibly to test the machinery or make a limited edition. Either way, it's now one of the most sought-after pennies in the world, and here's why. A mistake like that makes a coin incredibly rare. And let me tell you, people love rare things. Whether it's sports memorabilia, rare stamps, or even rare coins. The fact that so few of these pennies exist today means that collectors are absolutely fighting over them. And guess what? The price tag for this little penny has skyrocketed to over $1.4 million at auction. Now, I know what you're thinking. I've got a jar of pennies at home, but I don't see any missing mint marks. Don't worry. It's not like every 1981 penny you pick up is going to be worth a fortune, but it's worth checking, right? The rarity of a coin is what makes it valuable, so the fewer there are of something, the more it's worth. In fact, that's why a lot of coin collectors will pay big bucks for a coin like this, even if it's not in perfect condition. You don't need a coin to be in mint condition to make $1 million off of it, well, most of the time. But it's not just the 1981 no-mint mark penny that's raking in the big bucks. There's a whole world of coins out there that could be sitting right under your nose. And the best part? These coins don't have to be from centuries ago to be worth money. This reminds me of something that happened to me not too long ago. I was cleaning out an old box of my grandpa's stuff, and I found a bunch of old coins. Some were from the 60s, some from the 70s. Honestly, I thought they were just junk. I tossed them in a drawer, thinking, meh, they're probably worth a few cents. But one day, while cleaning up, I stumbled upon one of those coins again and thought, what the heck? Let's do a little research. Turns out, I had a coin that was worth a lot more than I expected. Now, I'm not saying I found a $1.4 million penny, sadly, but I did find a coin worth over $200. And let me tell you, that was a great surprise. The moral of the story? Always check your coins. You never know when you could find the next big thing. Even though most coins are worth their face value, you might have a hidden gem in that pile of change you've been collecting for years. So, how do you spot these rare coins? Well, it's not all about the 1981 penny. Just like we talked about with the 1981 penny, if a coin is missing its mint mark, it's worth investigating. Some coins that look worn down actually have rare errors that could make them more valuable. A coin with the wrong date or a double die could be worth much more than what you see on the surface. Look out for limited edition coins, like those released for anniversaries or other events. There are plenty of online resources, coin dealers, and even auction houses where you can learn more about what to look for and get your coins appraised at SO. The next time you find yourself rifling through your pocket change or cleaning out your coin jar, take a second to check your pennies. Who knows? That 1981 penny could be your ticket to a massive payday. Or maybe you've got another rare coin sitting there waiting for you to discover it. But even if you don't hit the jackpot, understanding the value of your coins is half the fun. If you found this video helpful and maybe a little exciting, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because I've got a ton more coin tips and strategies coming your way. From tips on how to spot rare finds to what makes certain coins so valuable, you won't want to miss a single episode. And hey, if you know anyone who's into collecting, share this video with them. They might just have a fortune hidden in their change jar. Thanks for watching, and remember, every coin tells a story. Maybe the next one is yours. Let me ask you something. What's the one coin you'd love to find in your pocket change? Maybe a rare silver dollar? Or an ancient gold coin? Well, how about a penny? Yes, you heard me right. A penny could actually be worth more than your car, your house, or even your student loans combined. Hold on to your hats because today, we're diving into the wild world of the 1994 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. This little guy could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.50 million. Sounds like a scam, right? Stick around to find out if you've got $1 million penny hiding somewhere in your pocket. Lincoln's face, the words, "In God We Trust," and the date, that's what we expect to see when we flip over a penny. But what if I told you that on some very rare pennies from 1994, you're not going to see that little mint mark that usually tells you where the coin was made? Normally, you'd spot a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco, but what if there's nothing there? Cue the dramatic music, right? Back in 1994, something weird happened. Due to a mistake at the US Mint, some pennies came out without a mint mark. That's right, folks, these rare pennies don't have the D or S to tell us where they were made. And when the mint realized the mistake, they were like, oops, let's make sure that doesn't happen again. But by then, those pennies had already made their way into circulation. Fast forward to today, and if you happen to stumble upon one of these bad boys, you're holding a piece of history that could be worth a fortune. Now, let's talk about the real money. According to coin experts, one of these 1994 no-mint mark pennies recently sold for a mind-blowing $1.50 million. Yep, I'm not making this up. This tiny little coin could be worth more than the average person's entire retirement fund. Crazy, right? But before you start raiding your coin jars looking for your potential fortune, let's talk about why these pennies are so valuable. It all comes down to rarity. There aren't many of these floating around, and the few that have survived are in pristine condition. Coin collectors go absolutely bonkers over rare errors like this. It's like finding a vintage baseball card that no one knew existed until it was too late. And hey, let me tell you a little personal story. When I was younger, I used to have this super fun hobby, collecting pennies. I'd scour my change, look through rolls of coins, and try to find that one penny that would make me a millionaire. I never found anything quite as exciting as a 1994 Nomint penny, sadly, but I did find a few interesting ones along the way. One time, I found a 1955 wheat penny, which is worth a few bucks, but I thought I was going to pass out when I thought it was an error coin. Turns out it was just a normal one, but it still felt like I'd struck gold. The excitement of thinking you've found something valuable? It's a thrill.so. How do you find one of these rare 1994 no mint mark pennies? Well, it's all about knowing what to look for and keeping your eyes peeled. Here are some tips. Check your change. Every time you get pennies back from a purchase, give them a quick look. You never know when you might spot a rare one. Look for the date. 1994 pennies with no mint mark are the key here. If the date's right but there's no mint mark, it could be worth something. Condition is key. The better condition the penny is in, the more valuable it is. If it's super worn out or corroded, it's probably not going to be a millionaire dashmaker. Do your research. Before getting too excited, do some research or consult a coin expert. There are a lot of fakes out there, and you don't want to get scammed. Don't overpay. If you're thinking of buying one of these coins, make sure you know what you're doing. Don't pay more than it's worth. There are a lot of overpriced, rare coins out there, and not all of them are as valuable as the seller claims, so there you have it. The 1994 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. It's a tiny little coin with a massive price tag, and if you've got one lying around, it could be worth more than you ever imagined. But remember, it's all about rarity and condition. Finding one might take some luck, but hey, it's like finding a needle in a haystack, but with way better rewards. If you're serious about starting your own coin collection or learning more about coins that could be worth big bucks, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I've got more tips, tricks, and coin hunting strategies coming your way. Plus, I'll share more stories about my own near $1 million finds. Okay, not really, but close enough. So, get out there, start searching your pockets, and who knows? Maybe the next $1.5 million penny is just one coin jar away. Hey there, coin collectors and curious treasure hunters. Ever found a penny on the street and just tossed it aside? Well, hold up. What if I told you that one very specific penny from 2017 could be worth, wait for it, $1.60 million? Yep, you heard me right. A penny, $1.6 million. You might want to check your pockets now. I know what you're thinking. A penny? Really? That can't be right. Trust me, my friend. You're about to have your mind blown. So grab your magnifying glass and your best detective hat because we're diving deep into one of the most surprising and exciting finds in the coin world. Let's talk about the 2017 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny and why it could make you a millionaire, or at least $1.6 million richer if you're lucky. All right, let's start with the basics. We all know pennies, right? They're everywhere. In the couch cushions, the parking lot, stuck to the bottom of your laundry basket. But the 2017 D Lincoln penny? This one's not your average change. A rare error occurred during the minting process, making these pennies much more valuable than they should be. The D mint mark, that little D stamped on the penny, usually tells you where the coin was made, in this case, the Denver Mint. But sometimes, something goes wrong in the process, and you end up with a coin that stands out from the rest. These 2017 D Lincoln pennies were struck with a double die error, which means the design was stamped twice, making the features appear extra bold and sometimes misaligned. But it's not just the error that's interesting. It's the rarity. Only a few of these coins have surfaced, and because they're so rare, the market value has skyrocketed. We're talking big bucks here. Here's where the fun begins. How do you know if that penny you found in your car's cup holder is worth $1.6 million? Don't worry, it's easier than you think. First, take a good look at the mint mark. Is it a D for Denver? Great. Next, check for the double die error. The telltale sign is a slightly blurry or doubled image, particularly in the lettering of Liberty or the year 2017. The key to spotting these rare pennies is that the second die impression is faint but visible. Now, you don't need to have a professional magnifying glass or a microscope to see it. Just a good eye, patience, and maybe a little luck on your side. Okay, let's address the big question. Why on earth is this little penny worth so much? Well, the value comes from the combination of rarity and the error in its production. It's the kind of thing that coin collectors drool over. Coins like this don't just get thrown into a jar and forgotten about. They end up in graded condition, meaning they're professionally examined and sealed in protective cases. Those high-graded pennies have been known to fetch up to $1.6 million at auctions. But don't get too carried away just yet. The chances of finding one of these pennies are slim, like really slim. But if you're ever looking through your change, keep your eyes peeled. After all, stranger things have happened. I once found a penny in my backyard that I thought was just a regular coin, until I learned it was a 1909 penny worth $100. Now, it wasn't worth millions, but hey, $100 from a backyard find isn't too shabby, right? So, let's say you do find one of these million-dollar pennies. What do you do next? How do you turn that lucky penny into actual cash? First, don't just go spinning it on coffee. You'll want to have the coin properly authenticated and graded by a professional. These are your first steps in ensuring that you're not getting duped or underselling yourself. After that, you can look at auction houses or even specialized dealers who focus on rare coins. The higher the grade, the higher the price you could fetch. It's kind of like the coin version of real estate. Location matters, and so does condition. You'll also want to do a little research. Knowing the current market value and staying updated on sales of similar coins can help you gauge how much you can get for your treasure. All right, let's wrap this up. The 2017 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny is one of the coolest and most valuable errors to ever hit the coin market. But don't just go throwing away your change in the hopes of striking it rich. Coin collecting takes time, knowledge, and a little bit of luck. If you're serious about coin hunting and want to stay on top of the latest tips and strategies, hit that subscribe button below. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on more tricks that could make you a fortune or at least help you understand why your pocket change might be worth a lot more than you thought. And hey, if you've ever found a coin you thought was worth something, drop your story in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. Maybe you've got a hidden gem sitting in your collection right now. Thanks for watching and happy hunting. See you in the next video, where we'll dive into more rare coins and fun facts. Alright guys, I know what you're thinking. A penny? Worth over $1 million? Surely that's just clickbait. But hold on to your wallets, because this is not a drill. We're talking about the 1988 no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, and believe it or not, this little piece of history is fetching big bucks in today's market. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you might just go digging through your coin jar or your grandma's old change bowl for that hidden gem. Let's set the stage. It's 1988, and you're living your best life, probably wearing a fanny pack, listening to Bon Jovi, and getting those neon clothes out of the dryer. The penny? Well, it's just a penny. Nothing fancy. But hold up. What if I told you that some of these pennies have something extra special? Normally, US pennies have a little mint mark on the back. This mark tells us where the penny was produced. We've got D for Denver, S for San Francisco, and P for Philadelphia. So, what's the deal with the 1988 penny? Here's where the mystery kicks in. In 1988, for some bizarre reason, the US Mint made a handful of pennies that didn't have a mint mark. Now, it wasn't a mistake, exactly, but it was a rare production error, one that didn't make sense at the time. A mint markless penny? That was like finding a unicorn at a dog park. Now, let's get to the real reason you clicked on this video. How much are these pennies worth today? Believe it or not, some of these bad boys are worth up to $1.7 million. And I'm not talking about the shiny penny in your pocket worth. I'm talking about a rare, no mint mark, pristine condition penny that could get you a mansion or, at the very least, a pretty sweet vacation. Now, before you go all treasure hunter on me, let's clear something up. You won't find this kind of value just anywhere. These coins are rarer than a four-leaf clover in a field of dandelions. The penny needs to be in mint condition to reach that $1.7 million mark. That means no scratches, no wear, no little coffee stains from your morning cup. It needs to look like it came straight from a time machine. Listen, I know what you're thinking. I have a penny in my car cup holder that's been through a hurricane and probably been dropped in a puddle of ketchup. There's no way it's worth anything. And you're probably right. But hey, you never know until you look, right? If you do happen to find one of these pristine 1988 no-mint mark pennies, it's time to get serious about protecting it. Invest in a proper coin holder and, this is a pro tip, get it authenticated. Because without that certification, even a $1.7 million penny might just be worth, well, a penny. I'm not gonna lie, I've got a bit of a coin hoarding problem. A few years back, I thought I found a rare coin in my change jar. I mean, I was sure it was worth thousands, so I got all excited and started Googling. Turns out, it was just a state quarter from, like, 1999, worth a couple of bucks at most. I'm still paying off that I'm an expert humiliation to my wife. She was the first to point out that it wasn't as rare as I thought. Classic. Hey, we all have our moments, right? But hey, the lesson here is never stop looking. You never know when you're gonna find a diamond in the rough. So, in summary, if you happen to come across a 1988 penny without a mint mark, you might be holding on to more than just a piece of copper. You could be looking at a future that's worth a lot of zeros on the price tag. But remember, it's gotta be in mint condition, and don't skip the certification process. If you love discovering hidden treasures in your pocket change, or you're just curious about how to make money from your coin collection, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'm dropping new tips and strategies all the time to help you find those rare coins that could change your life. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. And who knows, the next time you're at a garage sale, you might just find that $1 million coin that's been hiding in plain sight. Thanks for watching, and good luck hunting for your own fortune. Catch you in the next one. Coin lovers unite. So, you think that penny you've been holding onto for years is just, well, a penny? Think again. What if I told you that one very specific penny could be worth over $1.60 million? I know, you're probably thinking, yeah right, there's no way. But trust me, this is the real deal. Stick around and let me show you how a regular 1982 Lincoln penny could make you richer than you ever thought possible. You're not going to believe how this tiny coin has turned into a massive money-making machine. All right, let's break it down. We're talking about the infamous 1982 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Now, I know what you're thinking. 1982? That's not even a rare year. What's so special about that? Well, folks, you're in for a treat. Here's the thing. In 1982, the U.S. Mint decided to change the way they made pennies. They started making them in two different ways, some with a mint mark and some without. But here's the twist. The ones with no mint mark, in some cases, are worth a fortune. The trick is, the ones without the mint mark are super rare, and not just rare in the, oh, I've got a penny from the 80s kind of way. No, I'm talking about get yourself a new house kind of rare. And it all comes down to that one tiny detail, that missing mint mark. Now, here's where it gets crazy. That simple omission, in some cases, can make your penny worth up to $1.60 million. I know that sounds insane, but it's true. There are collectors out there who would literally pay big bucks for this little coin. I mean, for the price of a cup of coffee, you could have a penny that could buy you, well, not a cup of coffee anymore. More like a brand new car. Or maybe even a small island if you're lucky. But here's the kicker. Finding one of these pennies isn't as easy as you might think. You could be sitting on a literal gold mine and not even know it. It all depends on how that penny was made back in '82. And the chances of finding one in circulation today? Well, let's just say they're pretty slim. You know, this reminds me of the time I went to my grandmother's house and started digging through a box of old coins she had kept for years. I thought I was going to find something cool, like a few dimes or maybe a 1940s penny, but instead, I found a whole lot of nothing. Turns out, there was this one box at the bottom of her closet that she had shoved way back behind some books, and when I opened it up, I couldn't believe what I saw. A bunch of old pennies, mostly from the 60s and 70s, not the jackpot I was hoping for. But here's the thing. I never checked for a mint mark. And that's the difference between maybe a couple bucks and a cool million. If I'd known about this, I would have gone through those coins with a fine-toothed comb. But hey, lesson learned. And it's why I'm sharing this with you now, because you don't want to make the same mistake I did and miss out on something worth a fortune. So, let's get serious for a second and talk about how to check if your penny's worth a ton of money. First things first, you need to look for the mint mark. On most pennies, there's a small D or an S near the base of the date. But in 1982, the US Mint made some pennies without any mint mark at all. The mint mark usually tells you where the coin was made. D is for Denver, and S is for San Francisco. But for a select few pennies, no mint mark means big bucks. These coins are rare because the US Mint wasn't supposed to make them without a mark, but somehow, a few slipped through the cracks. Now, when you're checking your pennies, make sure to use good lighting. I know it sounds boring, but trust me, you don't want to miss the chance of finding a penny that's worth more than a house. And while you're at it, check the weight too. If it feels different from your other pennies, it might be a sign it's not your average copper piece. So, there you have it. The 1982 No Mint Mark penny. A small coin, but a huge opportunity for you to make big money. While most pennies you find in your pocket are probably worth just 1 cent, there's always that one in a million that could be sitting in your change jar, just waiting to make you a small fortune. But hey, before you rush off to check your penny stash, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on more tips and tricks for finding valuable coins. And if you found this video helpful, go ahead and leave a like. Because who doesn't love discovering hidden treasures? And if you have a story of your own, maybe you found a coin worth a fortune, or you've been searching for that elusive mintless penny, share it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever held on to a penny for so long that you thought it might just be a lucky charm? Well, buckle up because this one's going to blow your mind. What if I told you that there's a penny from 2017 with a D mint mark that could potentially be worth $1.7 million? Yes, you heard me right. $1.7 million for a coin that's smaller than a chocolate chip. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll know how to spot this little treasure in your spare change, and I'll share a funny story about how I almost tossed one of these bad boys in the trash. The backstory on the 2017 D Mint Mark penny. Alright, let's set the scene. The 2017 D penny. You probably see these guys all the time in your pocket, right? And maybe, just maybe, you've even thought about tossing them in a jar, thinking, it's just a penny. Big mistake, my friend. Let me tell you why. The thing about coins is that sometimes a small mistake or a rare error can turn an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. And the 2017 D penny, well, it's one of those rare exceptions. You see, this coin isn't just a regular penny. It's a modern-day gold mine, if you know where to look. What makes it so special? Well, some 2017 D pennies were struck with a unique error, making them highly sought after by collectors. These coins weren't minted like the rest of the batch. They had a slight, almost imperceptible flaw that gives them a huge price tag today. And that's how, folks, a penny that looks just like any other penny could be worth $1.70 million. What's the error? So, what's this error exactly? Well, in some cases, the 2017 D penny had a slight double die, meaning that there was an overimpression on the coin, which makes the features on it look a little off, like a shadow of the original image. This mistake is so rare that when one of these coins pops up at auction, collectors go absolutely wild. People pay insane prices for anything rare, and this penny is one of those rare gems. Now, I can already hear you asking, okay, so how do I know if I have one of these $1.7 million coins in my jar of pennies? Great question. Here's what you need to look for. Spotting the rare 2017 D penny first. You want to check the mint mark on your penny. Flip it over and find that little D on the reverse side of the coin. That's the first step. It's got to be the 2017 penny with the D mint mark. If it doesn't have that, we're in a different ballpark here. Next, the real trick is spotting the error. You'll want to look at Abraham Lincoln's portrait and see if there's any doubling or ghost images on the lettering around it. You can also check for any abnormal shifts in the design, especially around the date or the mint mark. If you've got a penny with these imperfections, congrats, you might just be sitting on a gold mine. The value boom now. You might be thinking, all right, I've got one of these pennies. Do I need to call the news? Maybe. The market value of these 2017 D pennies with the error has skyrocketed. Coins that look like they've got this double die or other imperfections have sold for over $1 million at auction. Yes, a penny, a freaking penny, could sell for $1 million. I mean, who knew that something so small could pack such a big punch, right? Just because you find one doesn't mean it's instantly worth a fortune. These pennies are valuable only if they're in great condition and if they've got that perfect, rare error. So, if you find one, don't just rush out and sell it. You want to make sure you've got a legitimate coin before you start dreaming about retiring early. Now, speaking of dreams, let me share a funny story. Years ago, I had a huge jar of pennies that I kept tossing into my garage for literally years. I didn't think twice about it. Pennies are pennies, right? Well, one day, I finally decided it was time to clean out that jar. I was about to throw them all into a coin sorting machine at the bank when I decided to pull out a few I thought looked a little off. Just in case. So, I kept a few. After a bit of research, it turns out those few pennies could have been worth a ton of money. One of them was a 2017 D penny with a double die error. And, naturally, I kicked myself for not spotting it earlier. Moral of the story? Always check your coins, because you never know when one could be worth a fortune. So, there you have it. A 2017 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny with a double die error could potentially be worth $1.7 million. That's right. A tiny coin could change your life forever, but only if you know what to look for. Now, I'm not saying you should start going through every penny in your pocket, but if you've got a jar full of change, it might be time to do a little detective work and see if you've got a hidden gem. Before you go, make sure to subscribe to this channel for more tips on coins that could make you a millionaire. I've got tons of videos planned to help you find hidden treasures in your everyday change, so hit that bell icon to stay updated. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Ever found a penny on the sidewalk and thought, hey, that could be worth something? Well, what if I told you that one particular penny, just one, could be worth a whopping $1.80 million? Yep, you heard that right. Stick around because today, we're diving into the world of the 2018 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, and trust me, you're going to want to check your change after this video. And no, this isn't a get-rich-quick scam. This is the real deal. But how does this tiny, copper coin turn into something worth more than a luxury car? We're about to break it all down. Okay, so let's start with the basics. The 2018 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. It sounds pretty standard, right? I mean, we've all seen these pennies, most of us probably hundreds of times, and let's be honest, when's the last time you got excited about a penny? I know I sure didn't, until I found out about this one. Most pennies from 2018 are worth exactly 1 cent, but what makes this specific one different? It's all about rarity. It's a special kind of penny, and you'd need to be lucky enough to find one in your pocket change. The 2018 D Mint Mark penny has something called a double die error. Essentially, when the coin was being minted, the die, that's the tool used to stamp the image onto the penny, was struck twice in the same spot. This causes the image of Abraham Lincoln's portrait to appear doubled. But not just any doubling. This is some serious, high-quality stuff. You can literally see a second layer of Lincoln's beard, nose, and even the text around the coin. It's like getting a bonus copy of Lincoln, but you're not paying extra for it. Now, how rare is it? Well, that's where things get interesting. Only a handful of these pennies with the error are known to exist. And guess what? One of them was sold at auction for an eye-watering $1.80 million. That's more than the price of most brand new cars, combined. Now, I don't know about you, but that got my attention. But let's get real for a minute. How likely is it that you're going to stumble across a $1.8 million penny in your spare change? Well, probably not that likely. But here's the thing, it's still possible. And the good news is, there are ways to check if you've got one of these rare pennies hiding in your collection. First thing you'll want to do is check for the doubled features on Lincoln's face, his beard, and the lettering around the coin. You'll also want to examine the mint mark itself, right under the date. If it's the D mint mark, that's where you'll want to focus your attention. Trust me, if you find one of these bad boys, you could be sitting on a small fortune. Imagine just casually going through your spare change at home and bam, you find one. What would you even do with $1.8 million? I'd probably buy a new car, or two, maybe a house in the mountains. But hey, one can dream, right? Now, let's talk about why this penny is worth so much. It's all about the rarity and the fact that collectors are willing to pay big money for these types of errors. Collectors who are really into this stuff know the value of finding a coin that's different, something that only a few others have. And that's why the price tag shoots up into the millions. Now, before you start running to your coin jar and going through every penny you own, just remember, it's pretty unlikely you'll find a $1.8 million coin just laying around. But hey, you never know. Coin collecting is all about finding those hidden gems that could be worth something more than their face value. And if you're new to the coin game, don't worry. This is just one of many incredible stories in the world of rare coins. If you're interested in learning more about which coins are worth money, how to spot them, and what kind of strategies will help you grow your collection, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Because trust me, you won't want to miss out on these tips. Who knows, the next coin you find could be the one that makes you rich. And hey, if you've got any cool coin stories or questions, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. All right, folks, keep your eyes peeled, keep collecting, and keep hustling for those rare coins. Catch you next time. Who knows what we'll find next? What if I told you that a penny you probably have lying around in your drawer could be worth a ton of money? We're talking about a single penny from 1979, and not just any penny. This one could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.8 million. Yeah, you heard that right. A coin that weighs less than a paperclip and costs about as much as a pack of gum could be worth more than your car. Stick around because I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about this 1979 no-mint mark penny and how you might be holding on to a small fortune without even realizing it. Let's talk about the 1979 no-mint mark penny. I know, you're probably wondering, what the heck is a no-mint mark penny? Well, a mint mark is a tiny letter on your coin that tells you where it was made. Usually, you'll find it right next to the date on the front of the coin. For example, a D means it was minted in Denver, an S means it came from San Francisco, and so on. But the 1979 no-mint mark penny? Now, I'm not saying you should go digging through all your pennies from 1979 like you're on some sort of treasure hunt. But if you happen to find one, you might want to hold on to it. Why? Because this little guy could be worth more than just pocket change. A penny that was made in very limited numbers with no mint mark is considered a key date coin. And these are the coins that collectors go crazy for. Here's where the story gets interesting. In 2019, a rare 1979 no-mint mark penny sold for a whopping $1.8 million. I mean, come on. Imagine pulling that out of your jar of loose change. The buyer must have been doing a little victory dance right in the middle of the auction. So, what makes this coin so valuable? It's not just the rarity. The condition of the coin plays a huge part too. You see, the 1979 no-mint mark penny is rare, but it's even more special when it's in mint condition. And when I say mint, I don't mean fresh from the mint. I mean top-notch condition. No scratches, no wear and tear. Looking like it just came off the minting press yesterday. Coins like that are gold in the world of collectors, and they can sell for astronomical prices. Let me tell you a quick story to drive this point home. A few years ago, I was at a coin show. Big surprise, right? I was just casually flipping through some old pennies when I came across a 1979 penny that looked almost perfect. I'll admit, I wasn't really thinking it would be worth much. I mean, it's just a penny, right? So, I tossed it into a box and honestly, I forgot about it for months. One day, I went to clean out some old stuff and bam, I saw that penny again. I took a second look, did some research, and realized it could be worth way more than $1. Sadly, I didn't get a cool $1.8 million for it, but it definitely taught me to be way more careful about what I'm keeping around. Okay, so now that you know about this $1 million penny, let's talk about why this matters. You see, rare coins like the 1979 no-mint mark penny don't just appear out of thin air. They are found by people like you and me who happen to notice something special. It's all about having the right eye for the little things. And I've got to say, the thrill of finding something rare, whether it's in your pocket change or buried in your collection, is just unbeatable. They don't realize how valuable even the smallest, most humble coins can be. Sure, you might think a penny is just a penny, but when you start digging deeper into the world of coin collecting, you start to see the potential. That's why you should always pay attention to the details. And trust me, you don't have to be a professional numismatist to start finding coins that are worth something. With just a little bit of knowledge and curiosity, you could be holding on to coins that are worth far more than their face value. Alright, folks, I think you're ready to start hunting down those valuable pennies. Remember, the 1979 no-mint mark penny could be sitting in your collection right now, and you might not even know it. But if you want to make sure you're not missing out on hidden treasures, you've got to keep an eye out for these rare coins. If you want more tips on coins that are worth big money, strategies for finding valuable coins, and all kinds of other cool insights into the world of collecting, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Don't miss out on the next great discovery. I'll be here sharing all the knowledge and fun stories to help you on your coin collecting journey. And hey, if you've ever found a coin that turned out to be worth more than you thought, drop a comment below. I love hearing these stories. Who knows, you might just inspire the next big find. Let me ask you a quick question. What's the most you've ever found in your change? A few bucks? Maybe a rare silver coin? Well, what if I told you that there's a penny out there that's worth a jaw-dropping $1 million? Yeah, you heard me right, 1 million. Now, I know you're probably thinking, come on, this guy's pulling my leg. But stick with me, because I'm about to share the story of the 2006 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, and trust me, you won't believe the crazy value it's carrying these days. But before we get started, grab a snack, kick back, and let's dive into this wild world of rare coins. Oh, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because after today, you're going to want to be in the know about which pennies in your pocket could actually turn into a small fortune. Alright, so here's the deal. The 2006 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is not your average pocket change. No, it's not the penny you find under your couch cushions or at the bottom of your washing machine. This particular penny, my friend, is an anomaly. It's like the unicorn of the coin world. And let me explain why. In 2006, the US Mint was cranking out pennies with the usual mint marks, either the D for Denver or the P for Philadelphia. But for some weird reason, a handful of pennies that year were stamped with no mint mark at all. Think of it as the oops coin that slipped through the cracks. Now, keep in mind, this wasn't supposed to happen. The mint marks are important because they tell you where the coin was produced. The mint marks on these pennies were like the autograph of a famous artist. They proved where and when it was made. And here's the kicker. These no mint mark pennies are incredibly rare. Like finding a needle in a haystack rare. How rare, you ask? Well, experts believe that there were fewer than 10 of these bad boys made. So, imagine having one of these tucked away in a jar of loose change. If you're lucky enough to find one, you could be holding on to a coin that could fetch you up to $1 million at auction. But I don't have a 2006 penny with no mint mark, so I guess I'm out of luck. Hold your horses. Don't go spending your 2006 pennies just yet. You might want to take a second look at any 2006 pennies you come across. The good news is that some of these missing mint mark pennies have already been found in circulation, and the prices for these coins are climbing like crazy. So if you've got a 2006 penny laying around, it's worth checking out if it's one of the rare ones. Now, don't go running off to the nearest coin dealer just yet, though. You'll need to make sure that your penny has been properly authenticated by a professional. You see, there are a lot of look-alike pennies out there, and not all of them are worth $1 million. A professional grading service, like the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, can authenticate and grade your coin so you know exactly what you've got in your hands. Let me tell you a quick story. A while back, I was going through some old jars of coins that had been collecting dust in my garage for years. I found a whole bunch of pennies from the 80s, 90s, and even a few from the 2000s. I honestly wasn't expecting much, until I found a 2006 penny with no mint mark. I nearly had a heart attack when I realized what it could be worth. I rushed to my local coin dealer, who confirmed it was the real deal. That little penny ended up being worth more than the car I drive. No joke. And that's exactly why I'm here, folks. If you've got old change lying around, don't just toss it in a jar and forget about it. Take a moment to check out your coins, because you never know when you'll find something that could change your financial future. It doesn't just stop at pennies either. Coins from the 1800s, limited edition mint runs, and rare errors are out there, just waiting for the right person to find them. And it could be you. Check your 2006 pennies for that missing mint mark. If you've got one of the rare no mint mark pennies, you could be holding onto a coin worth $1 million. But even if you don't throw away your change just yet. There are tons of valuable coins hiding in plain sight, and I'm here to help you find them. Before you run off to dig through your coin jar, or maybe check your pockets again, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more tips, tricks, and insider info on coins that could make you rich. We'll cover everything from rare finds to coin collecting strategies, and who knows, the next $1 million coin might be in your pocket. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and happy coin hunting. All right, folks, let's get right into it. Imagine this. You're digging through a jar of loose change, maybe finding some old pennies, and you pull out one that catches your eye. It's a 1973 penny. Probably not worth much, right? Well, what if I told you that one of these little guys, a 1973 penny, no mint mark, could be worth, drumroll, $2 million? Yep, you heard that right. And no, I'm not pulling your leg. Stick around, because I'm about to show you how a penny that most people overlook could change your life. Now, before you go scouring your wallet and running out to buy up every penny you can find, let me tell you how this works. You've got to know what to look for, and trust me, this little coin's got more to it than meets the eye. Grab your magnifying glasses and let's dive into the wild world of rare coins. So, you may be wondering, why on earth would a regular, everyday penny from 1973 be worth $2 million? Well, first, let me hit you with a little background knowledge. A mint mark, that little letter on the coin that tells you where it was made. Most coins, including pennies, have one of those little marks. In 1973, for instance, you'd usually find a D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But here's the kicker. The 1973 penny without a mint mark? That's a rarity. Now, I know what you're thinking. No mint mark? Is that it? And the answer is yes, but also no. You see, the 1973 penny with no mint mark is considered one of those error coins. Back in the day, there were some mix-ups at the mint, and a batch of pennies went into circulation without any mint mark at all. The ones that survived are now rare collector's items. And I mean rare. Think about it. You could have a coin that's been sitting around in a drawer or jar for decades, going unnoticed, when in reality, it's worth a fortune. Kind of like that time I found an old pair of sneakers in my attic that turned out to be worth more than my car. Okay, that might be an exaggeration, but you get my point, right? Sometimes, things get hidden in plain sight. While most 1973 pennies are worth, well, maybe 1 or 2 cents, not much more than the price of a snack from a vending machine, that one without a mint mark, it could go for up to $2 million in today's market. How's that for a lucky find? Now, before you get too excited, not every 1973 penny without a mint mark is worth $2 million. The condition of the coin plays a huge role in its value. We're talking about uncirculated, pristine coins here. If it's been through the ringer, rubbed against keys in your pocket, or worse, tossed in a mud puddle, its value goes down. A lot down. To give you an idea, the most valuable 1973 no-mint mark penny that sold for this kind of money was in mint condition, practically untouched by human hands. These coins are often found in collections, sometimes from lucky investors or coin hunters who know exactly what to look for. But don't let that discourage you. Even if your penny isn't worth $2 million, it could still be worth hundreds or thousands. And trust me, that's nothing to sneeze at. If you ever find yourself staring at a 1973 penny with no mint mark, or really any old coin, don't just toss it aside. Take a second to check it out. Heck, dust off that magnifying glass you've had sitting in your drawer for years. You never know. You could be holding onto a hidden treasure. If you're still with me, you're probably wondering what's next. Well, my friend, if you want to learn more about rare coins, valuable finds, and tips on how to spot coins worth serious cash, hit that subscribe button and join the coin hunting crew. Because I've got more tips, tricks, and stories to share. And who knows? Maybe your next pocket change could be worth a fortune, or at least enough for a nice dinner. Either way, you won't want to miss out. Thanks for watching, and remember, when it comes to coins, sometimes the smallest things are the most valuable.